My name is Jessica Ward, and I decided to do this week's learning module on the flipped classroom. A little bit about the lesson that I chose to do the flipped classroom on. It's in a science classroom. The topic is symbiotic relationships and symbiosis. It's for 8th grade. And all in all, with all the activities, I anticipate it taking about 3 class periods if the class periods are about 70 minutes long. So the standards that are covered is to construct an explanation that predicts patterns of interactions among organisms across multiple ecosystems, and to construct an argument supported by empirical evidence that changes to physical or biological components of an ecosystem affect populations. Some of the goals and objectives for the students will be to differentiate between mutualism, parasitism, and commensalism. Those are the 3 different types of symbiosis. Students will be able to predict the changes in population size of an organism given different environmental scenarios or limiting factors. Students will be able to research and independently discover various symbiotic relationships. And this ties into the cross-curricular with language arts, with social studies, about analyzing a source and determining whether it's credible or not. So prior to this lesson, students have already gone over predator-prey relationships where one organism hunts and kills another. We've talked about limiting factors and how they influence the size and the health of a population in a particular area. They have general knowledge on how to access Schoology and educational videos that are embedded in Schoology. At my school, I use Schoology, social studies, language arts, so students are familiar with the Schoology platform throughout multiple curricular areas, and how to find credible websites and information sources through research. And this is something that's ongoing in my classroom and in the language arts classroom, social studies throughout the year. So they're constantly analyzing text, data, and finding whether it's credible or not. So the educational video itself, a little bit about it. It's less than 10 minutes, so it'll hold the student's attention span rather than having a 30-minute video. It's relatively short. At the very beginning of the video, I set the goals and objectives for students so they know kind of the purpose of the video, what they're expected to learn by the end of it, and it sets purpose. It reviews new terminology, vocab, and content. So this lesson is front heavy with new words, terminology, vocab. So that's why I chose to do the flipped classroom, because what would have taken maybe 30, 40 minutes in class can now be done at home the night before. Throughout the video, there's questions and there's think about questions that are embedded throughout that students are required to think about and then write down their answer in their journal. The examples that I give in the video are very relevant and they're local. Many of them are about the Delaware seashores, so those students that have gone to the beach, or in my district, we're a coastal town, so there's Slaughter Beach, Bowers Beach, so students actually live at the beach. It also refers back to the goals throughout the video. So during the video, you'll hear me say one of our goals was, one of our objectives was. So it constantly goes back to those goals that we set at the very beginning. I pause for thinking. So throughout the video, I'll pause if I ask a question, or I'll pause if I ask them to write something down in their journal. So it's interactive. And I also include what to do next. So after the video has concluded, what are they supposed to do next? Some of the benefits of this flipped classroom, and then I decided to go with the discussion-oriented model just because later on you'll see in the assignments and the assessments that one of the main things that students do in class is have peer discussions. So for them to discuss content with their peers, they have to know the content ahead of time. So I chose a discussion-oriented model for that. So the students are going to view the video the night before class. They're going to learn and practice the new content. And this allows them to go back on the video if they need to hear something again. As they're doing the examples and they're practicing, they can refer back to the examples and the video itself, and they can go at their own pace. So students are kind of going at their own pace. There's not the distraction of other students or, the stress of not being as fast as another student. So they can do this at their own pace. So the vocab, the content, examples should be completed before students even get to class. There's an option to express their struggles or concerns with the video or with the assignment before they even get to class. So they're going to complete a worksheet on Schoology that they're going to submit before they come to class. So I'll be able to view all of their work. And also there's a spot at the bottom for them to list if they're struggling, so I can see that as well. This allows class time, all of it to be spent demonstrating their knowledge, their creativity. Students are going to be having discussions with each other. They're going to research, critically analyze, and apply new research to the concepts that they learned in the educational video. They're going to justify their reasonings with their peers, and they're going to evaluate their peers' arguments as well. So Cynthia Brame, who wrote an article on the flipped classroom, said to provide opportunities for students to gain first exposure prior to class, and that's what that educational video does, and to provide incentive for students to prepare for class. So throughout the video, students are asked to come up with their own examples, jot them down in their journals, so that way they're prepared to discuss them with students the following day. So if they don't watch the video and they don't come up with their own examples, then they're not able to hold those discussions. So that's an incentive for students to come prepared to class. Also, the worksheet that I'm going to have them do before they get to class is a way for them to practice to express any struggles. And if I so choose, if the teacher chooses, you can actually grade that as a grade, and that might be an incentive for students to come prepared to class as well. The platform that I chose to do the flipped classroom on was Schoology. I enjoy Schoology because all the resources for the lesson are located in one place. So I put all of the resource in a Symbiosis folder because this is a Symbiosis lesson, so students can go right to that folder to access what they need. It's easy for students to use. So all of the videos or links, anything that I want students to do is all embedded right on Schoology. It doesn't take them anywhere. They can view it right there. I can access their work once it's submitted. So for example, the worksheet that I'm going to have students practice on before they get to class, once they submit that, I can view it right away to kind of prepare what that day's lesson is going to be like. And also I like that you can link Google Docs, there's discussion boards. Like I said, you can embed any sort of resources. And also I can share with my colleagues. So the other 8th grade teacher, I can share with him the resources that I've created and vice versa. So if we were to go to the Schoology page that I created for the flipped classroom, students will see this, and all of their materials are going to be located in the Symbiosis folder. And in this folder, I like to include an overview for students so they kind of know what the lesson is about, what they're expected to do, just kind of gives them more of a purpose. So I list the objectives and the standards, and also the assignments, what I would like for them to do before class, such as watch the video, think about questions, put them in your journal, and also complete the symbiotic relationships worksheet, and make sure that they include any questions that they have about symbiosis on there as well. And then in class, so they kind of know where we're going, they're going to participate in a Kahoot. So that's another incentive for them to complete the assignment before class. So that way they can do well on the Kahoot. And also they're going to be hosting peer discussions. So again, another incentive for them to make sure that they learn about symbiosis and come prepared. And also the main thing, the higher level thinking assignment that they're going to complete in class is that symbiotic research poster project that may take a couple of class periods to complete. And I'll go over that a little bit later. So that's just the overview. Also, students can see the educational video. And like I said, it's embedded right in Schoology, so they can watch it right here. And then also the examples worksheet that I wanted them to complete before class is located here, and they can submit it right on Schoology. And also once they get to class, they're going to access Schoology, and everything that they'll need for their research poster project is located in a folder, such as directions. I also did an example of what a caption from their research should look like. And also I provided them with extra resources depending on what biome they chose to do their symbiosis poster on.